Chuck Schumer just laid it out plainly. Fund 96% of the government now, but until ICE is reined in, Democrats will not greenlight DHS funding. And if Republicans force a shutdown, Schumer says the blame is on them.
Now let's turn to the Senate. Tomorrow, the Senate is scheduled to take the first procedural vote on a 6-bill funding package. The right way forward is simple. 5 of these bills are ready to go, and the Senate should pass them as soon as possible. If Leader Thune agrees to split these bills, just as Johnson did in the House, Senate Democrats are ready to join Republicans in passing them and funding 96% of the federal government. But the DHS bill, the 6th bill, needs more work in the aftermath of Preddy's death, Good's death, and the awful abuses we have seen from ICE across the country. Until ICE is properly reined in and overhauled, the DHS funding bill doesn't have the votes to pass the Senate. Let me say that again so the White House hears it. Until ICE is properly reined in and overhauled, legislatively, the DHS funding bill doesn't have the votes to pass the Senate. Now, Leader Thune knows that, and so I urge Leader Thune not to put all 6 bills, including DHS, on the floor, but rather split them so we can focus on what we can pass right now. Time is short. We shouldn't waste time on failed votes right now, or else the government will shut down. I know both sides recognize we need to act in response to the awful tragedies that have taken place in Minneapolis, and Senators, Democrat and Republican, are talking and sharing ideas. But given how little time we have left before the funding deadline, the first right step for the Senate is for Leader Thune to split the funding bills and put the 5 bills on the floor, 96% of federal funding, that can pass. It's the right and expedient thing to do to ensure that most of the government is funded in time. And if Thune doesn't do it, the shutdown of the government is on his back. If he does it, we can have the necessary, if he puts the 5 bills on the floor and leaves DHS out, then we can have the necessary negotiation to rework the DHS bill and add common sense safeguards to rein in ICE's very real and very dangerous abuses. The bottom line is simple. The American people support law enforcement. They support border security, but they do not support ICE terrorizing our streets and killing American citizens. ICE needs to be held to the same basic standards that any law enforcement agency is asked to follow. Republicans must work with Democrats on legislative fixes to ensure ICE is reined in and overhauled to protect the public's safety. I yield the floor.
What Chuck Schumer did here is something that often gets lost in Washington's shouting matches. He explained clearly and calmly how Democrats are trying to keep the government open while demanding accountability for deadly abuses of power. This is not a blanket refusal to fund the government. In fact, Schumer made the opposite case. 5 of the 6 funding bills are ready to pass right now. They cover 96% of the federal government, everything from veteran services to transportation to public health. Senate Democrats are prepared to pass those bills immediately, with Republican votes, if Senate leadership simply agrees to split them up. That's not obstruction, that's governance. The problem is the 6th bill, DHS, and Schumer didn't mince words about why. In the aftermath of deadly incidents tied to ICE operations and a growing pattern of abuse across the country, Democrats are saying enough is enough. Funding DHS without reforms, without safeguards, and without accountability would be a green light for more chaos and more tragedy. Schumer repeated the key point so the White House couldn't miss it. Until ICE is legislatively reined in and overhauled, the DHS funding bill does not have the votes to pass the Senate. Not because Democrats oppose law enforcement, not because they oppose border security, but because they oppose an agency operating without basic standards, transparency, and restraint. This is where Republicans face a choice. They can follow the model used in the House, where Speaker Johnson split the funding bills and allow the Senate to pass what is ready now. Or they can insist on bundling DHS funding together with everything else, knowing full well it will fail, and then try to blame Democrats for the consequences. Schumer made it crystal clear. If Leader Thune refuses to split the bills and the government shuts down, that shutdown is on him. And notice what Democrats are actually asking for here. Not abolition, not defunding law enforcement across the board. They are asking for common sense safeguards, the same standards any law enforcement agency is expected to meet. Clear rules, oversight, accountability when things go wrong, an end to reckless tactics that put civilians, local police, and even federal agents themselves in danger. Schumer also addressed the argument Republicans keep trying to push, that criticizing ICE means opposing law enforcement. That's simply false. The American people support law enforcement. They support a secure border. What they do not support is federal agents terrorizing communities or killing American citizens without consequences. That distinction matters because it shows who is acting responsibly here. Democrats are saying, fund the government, protect essential services, and then do the hard work of fixing what's broken. Republicans are being asked to choose whether they want a solution or a political weapon. This moment is important because it reframes the shutdown debate. Democrats are not holding the government hostage. They are offering a path to keep it open immediately, while insisting that DHS funding reflect the seriousness of what's gone wrong under ICE. Schumer's message is simple. Pass what we can pass now, protect the American people, and negotiate reforms where they are urgently needed. That's not radical. That's responsible leadership. If you want a government that functions, if you believe law enforcement should be accountable to the same standards as everyone else, and if you're tired of chaos being used as a political tool, share this video, subscribe to Blue Lens Politics, and stay engaged. Because democracy works best when leaders choose solutions over shutdowns and accountability over excuses.